In the United States, more than 1,000 people are killed by police every year. According to data from Mapping Police Violence published in 2023, these are not just numbers. They represent real people with families and stories. When we hear names like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tyree Nichols, and Keenan Anderson, we're reminded that behind every one of those statistics is a life that was cut short. The facts I'm sharing today come from credible resource sources such as Mapping Police Violence and History.com. My goal is not to persuade you, but to inform you about the reality behind this issue. I'm going to explain three things. First, the history of police brutality in the United States. Second, the causes that contribute to it. And third, the effects it has on communities and society. Let's begin with the history portion. Police brutality is generally defined as the use of more force than necessary during policing. While people think of it as a modern issue, its roots go back to centuries later. According to an article from History.com published in 2021, some of the earliest forms of organized policing in America were slave patrols, groups created to control enslaved people. Later, police were used to enforce segregation laws. These early systems established patterns of unequal treatment that still affect law enforcement today. Now, why does police brutality happen? One major cause is a lack of accountability. When officers are not disciplined for excessive force, it increases the likelihood that it will continue. Policies around the use of force also matter. In some departments, certain tactics are allowed that may escalate situations rather than calm them down like they're supposed to. Implicit biases also play a role. Researchers show that marginalized groups, especially Black Americans, are more likely to be viewed as threats, even in nonviolent situations. And finally, policing is a high-pressure job, so it's understandable that in split-second decisions, sometimes they lead to unnecessary harm, especially when training and guidelines are unclear. Now, let's look at the impact. The effects of police brutality are both personal and widespread. Victims and their families often face severe physical and emotional trauma, but it goes further than that. Studies show that when communities see officers avoid consequences, they lose trust in law enforcement, and when trust is gone, cooperation becomes difficult, even in actual serious emergencies. On a national level, police brutality has sparked protest and calls for reform, hence the Black Lives Matter movement and all of the defund the police movements. Mapping Police Violence reported in 2023 that Black Americans made up 28% of those killed by police, despite only being 13% of the population. That gap shows that this issue is not random, it's targeted and systemic. In summary, police brutality isn't just a collection of individual incidents. It's shaped by history, policy failures, biases, and stress. It affects ripple through families, communities, and the entire country. Understanding the facts doesn't solve the problem, but it helps us recognize why accountability matters. When we say their names, we honor the lives lost and remind ourselves that justice is not just an idea, it's a responsibility. Thank you all for listening. I hope you're leaving more informed about the issue of police brutality than you started.